We are on. Hello, everyone. We're back again. It's the second live stream in a year. But yes, hello and welcome to Untold Stories. This is our little live stream that we thought we might do just for a bit of content. We haven't had stuff up for a while, and we figured it might be a nice way to sort of top off the year. It was actually, I think it was on the 8th, maybe, was the 1 year anniversary of the first proper bite-sized episode we posted with promises of full-length episodes, which of course not yet come to fruition, mainly due to the zombie apocalypse. That's why, in honour of the zombie apocalypse, other side, we have Flyboy from the arguably the greatest zombie film ever made. And my attempt at being Christmassy next to it is an elf. Anyway, yes, so it's been a year since we posted anything, and the last live stream I did really peculiar, odd, sort of 90 CD-ROMs. It was sort of a thing for it in the 90s. They didn't know what to do with all that space on the discs, going from like what was it, like a megabyte and a half, was it, on a floppy, right up to like topping up at about 700 meg, was it, on a CD? I can't remember now. So they just didn't know what to do with it. And as you can see on the screen there, this is this is the fruits of their labour. This one, I mean, the last one I did was one that I'd seen at the time, which was like unexplained sort of. Well, if you watched it, you'd see it was ghosts, myths, UFOs, that type of thing. But this one I had not heard of, and I found out about it doing a little bit of research. As you can see, it is subtly just called Ghosts. Now, first of all, let me just click over that. I've got to say thanks to this website because it was a lifesaver. The Collection Chamber, I discovered them basically in while I was researching a lot of stuff, because if you remember on the last live stream, I had to basically emulate Windows. I think I used Windows, was it 95? I think I emulated. Or was it 98? Can't remember. Either way, I had emulate operating system to get the CD-ROM to run because it won't run on modern things. And I was going to do the same with this one, but I discovered this website, the Collection Chamber, and on here they have loads of sort of lesser known, or sort of, some of it's abandonware, so basically there's no other way of buying it or playing it nowadays. But what they've managed to do is they've managed to take a load of those old CD-ROMs and make them compatible, basically through magic, DOSBox, make them run natively in modern operating systems, which makes my life a hell of a lot easier. But I thought we'd just have a quick look and see what the deal is with the CD-ROM itself. Bear with me 1 second. I need very unprofessional of me. My phone is making noises at me. Just thought we'd have a little look at the description of it here. I think from the back of the box. So Dr. Marcus Grimalkin, lovely, played by Christopher Lee. That's a treat that you're going to have. Mr. Lee himself is the host of this. Has devoted his life to the study of ghosts and paranormal occurrences. However, feeling he is still no closer to uncovering the truth, he decides to spend a weekend researching the evidence he has compiled. What better place to do this than Hobbs Manor, the world's most haunted house? Dare you join Dr. Grimalkin, and I'm presuming it's Grimalkin, you pronounce it, and discover answers for yourself. Help him uncover the truth about the paranormal. Use the material you will find around the house to make up your own mind. Exploring the house will uncover objects which access factual content, such as spirit photographs, poltergeist recordings and testimonials, dramatized ghost stories, and real-life experiences. Although Dr. Grimalkin is a fictional character, all other contributors are real-life experts and witnesses. There we go. The investigations in Ghosts are not reconstructions, but genuine research into the phenomena. So it features free movement through a 3D rendered haunted house. Ooh. Exclusive interviews with many of the world's leading parapsychologists and investigators, extensively researched historical information, over 90 minutes of specially filmed video, over 1,000 colour photographs and illustrations, and specially made for CD-ROM, Ghost offers much more than a book or a tape conversion. Yeah. Yeah, and that was from the back of the box apparently. You just get a bit of background there about what it was. There, they always give a little review, and then they give you a link to download them. I'm not sure it's entirely 100% legal. I presume a lot of this stuff is not owned by anyone anymore, as a lot of old software is. Don't want to give too much away with the stills there. Front cover is awesome. Can we make it bigger? Yes, we can. Oh, look at that. Looks like some sort of banshee. Ooh. Anyway, yeah, so I figured it might be nice to do this sort of this time of year, coming up to Christmas, and there's a lot. I'm not the only person that likes a Christmas ghost story, not just your Christmas carols, but there's, you know, Charles Dickens wrote quite a few ghost stories set at Christmas. I think, is it The Signalman is a really famous one. I'm not sure if that's set at Christmas, but it always gets told at Christmas. The Signalman is a brilliant story. And M.R. James stories as well. In fact, I think this year Mark Gatiss has written and directed another adaptation of an M.R. James story, I think, this year. I think he's done like 2 or 3 previously, over like since like 2016, something like that, 2016. Either way, so yeah, I don't know what it is about Christmas time. It's Christmas time ghost stories just seem to go hand in hand. So I figured we would give it a go. Anyway, we've had a little look at that. Doodle-doo. Let's get rid of that. And a very convenient shortcut I have placed on the desktop. So like I said, this will just run natively, which is kind of cool. But let's give it a little go. Okie dokie. Oh, by the way, if anyone wants to harass me, I do have the chat open on my other window here, so feel free to call me horrible names. Oh, there we go. Didn't think it was going to full screen. There you go. So it just runs in DOS. Fools Windows into thinking stuff's going on. There we are. No alcohol for me today. This is the blood of my fallen enemies. Watered down slightly. Oh my goodness, look at that. Tiny window.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Christopher Lee. Welcome to Ghosts.
Thank you, Christopher Lee. Special guests are the Beatles. I feel I owe it to the creators to sit through this entire intro, as it went with a lot of effort to reverse the colours on their photographs. Turning it down a little bit, that's quite around. Ways and figures. Has anybody pooed their pants with fright yet? These terrifying negative images. I'm presuming this is the inside of Hobbs' Manor. Spooky plinky plonky. Oh, right, and we're on. Here we go. Right, so, I just want to admire the fact that even in that intro, Christopher Lee could give sort of a grandiose delivery to pretty much any old crap he was told to read. That's why he was awesome. Anyway, let's have a little look. So, I think the interface is very much like all the old sort of first person point and click games like Myst and things like that, sort of puzzle games. So I'm guessing we can have a look at the door. Okay, well, hello. Is that it? Yeah, it's got a creepy face in it. Fine, yeah, right. And I'm guessing if we click on it, we go through it. Ooh! There's a door handle. Oh, anyway. Oh, whatever.
Welcome to Hobbs Manor,
Hello.
my friend. Please excuse me for calling you out at such a late hour.
Fine.
I trust you had a pleasant journey.
He was alright.
Mark my words, you have an eventful time ahead of you. Allow me to introduce myself properly. My name is Dr. Marcus Grimalkin, and I have devoted my life to the study of the paranormal. It is time for me to decide once and for all whether ghosts are reality or fiction. I hope that you can help me to make this decision.
Okay.
My visit to Hobbs Manor, a house that is world famous for its ghostly activities, is the climax of my life's work. I came here to gather the evidence around me, the documents, films, and records that I have painstakingly collected over the years. Make use of the research material that you will find inside the house.
Okay,
You will have to look carefully for it, as objects in this house appear to gain a life of their own. Use my findings to make your own decisions. If you join me on my quest, you may be rewarded with great knowledge, but be warned, you may not like everything that you find.
Oh, the silky, smooth tones of Christopher Lee. How I miss thee. Right, okay, so I'm guessing, basically, from what I've read, it is just a matter of sort of having a look around, looking at certain objects, and then it's basically like a really weird way of delivering, like the previous one that I did, which was basically just sort of menus that you went through to select what you wanted to watch or read. This is just, I don't know, they've put an effort, I suppose, to try and deliver it in a different way, make it a bit more interesting. Excuse me. Right, well, let's click on this table. Okay, what have we got here? There's no sound. It would have been nice to have some sort of ambience going on, wouldn't it, when you're wandering around to make it a bit spookier. Okay, what's this? Is there anything in that? No? So, ghosts and spirits and religion. Let's look at this dude. Father John Nuttall is a Roman Catholic priest who preaches in the county of Surrey, fascinated by the subject of ghosts and has helped members of the parish in the past who experienced hauntings. Now, I'm guessing if we click this, we get a video of him. Oh, do we? Apparently we don't. Oh, right, these are all different things. Okay. Let me just look at that. Is that... it's a Betacam tape. I used to shoot news on them. Lovely. Right, let's have a look. What should we see? Let's just start at the top there. Let's just start. What processes does the church go through to help someone who is disturbed by a haunting?
Well, the first stage would be, I think, actually to talk with them. We need to ascertain whether some people are actually, this is putting it gently, some people are actually more prone to spiritual phenomena than others. Some people, for example, are constantly seeing visions. I've never actually seen a ghost myself, but I certainly wouldn't dismiss the idea of there being such things, obviously. So the first thing is really just to ascertain what is actually happening within the house, and then, or we know wherever it's taking place, and thereafter then just to offer them a kind of stepped service almost. We wouldn't call in the bouncers, as it were, straight away. Be something quite gentle. If that wasn't working, then we'd probably progress to the next stage. And then the third stage would be when we really felt there was just an overwhelming presence, and probably a presence of evil, that we'd actually have to call in specifically a man, a priest, who is actually designated by the bishop within the area, perhaps of the diocese, who could actually, and is authorized to tackle that.
Well, there we go. He had a lovely voice. Pretty kindly sounding man. Yeah, I mean, I'm getting the impression this is kind of what most of this is going to be like. Let's not go through all of it, because I think there's plenty to look at, but what happens during an exorcism? Ooh, let's have a look.
There are two basic formats for an exorcism. One is used quite frequently, where one is actually aware of something within all of us that's not quite right. The church calls that sin, if you like, but it's the same origin. We're talking about the very presence of something which isn't good. Again, if I could just illustrate that, I mean, this is quite a gentle little format, where we would pray over an individual or a group of individuals and say something like, Father of mercy, you led the man born blind to the kingdom of light through the gift of faith in your Son. Free these from false values that surround and blind them. Set them firmly in your truth, children of the light forever. And we ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. That's more or less what I'd call an everyday situation. Not that I use that every day. There is a second form, though, which is perhaps much, much more serious, and there we would eventually
Bust out the
have to
Latin.
call in the designated man from the diocese, who would be appointed by the bishop to actually do an exorcism. Now, I've never actually witnessed one, but I've spoken to an exorcist, and it normally has to be accompanied, in the case of the exorcist, by a lot of prayer and fasting, actually prior to the little ritual. In the actual ritual itself, again, there is prayer. There's usually the laying on of hands to actually expel the presence of evil, devil, demon, whatever we would want to call it. And then very often, nearly always, a sprinkling with holy water. The tie there with the use of holy water is to baptism, when we were actually made children of God. So it would be, if you like, to install the presence of God within that individual and to cast out any possible manifestation of evil. The only other little detail I think that probably needs to be added is that it can be, again I've gleaned this secondhand from the exorcist himself, can be quite a violent thing if the manifestation, the presence of evil is so strong. He said that having done this, which was done in a kind of an old-fashioned vestry with wrought iron windows or what have you round about the actual baptistry, he was actually hurled against the wrought iron. So there was quite a force, if you like, as the devil came out of the individual, and he was quite severely bruised afterwards. So again, it's not
Severely
something
bruised,
to
everyone.
trip into lightly, and again, it's why somebody has to be designated by the bishop to do that.
So let me get this straight. We're watching a video of a priest who hasn't seen a ghost and hasn't seen an exorcism telling us about exorcisms. Interesting, okay. Weird, and yeah, and you know, only provisor is that you're a Christian and Catholic, otherwise it doesn't work. Weirder. Exorcisms. It's still very, don't know, it's like a hangover from the Middle Ages, isn't it? It's very bizarre that it actually still goes on. Well, it's not bizarre because the world is a weird place, but just to think it still goes on in, obviously not as publicly known, but it does still go on in even in like the UK, from what I've read anyway. And it's just, I just find it really weird, very weird. Anyway, ghosts and spirits and religion. What's this? Is this literature? Ooh, demons. It's demons. Oh, I'm not going to read too much. Oh, he looks trashed. Is that a little wheelchair or a sort of a commode? Oh, that's what he's doing. He's training for a dump. It's a commode. Excellent. Very good. And some sort of giant Godzilla enemy. I'll just quickly flick through this. I don't think anyone wants to sit listening to me reading all of that out. It's cool illustrations though. Be nice if there were, and obviously image compression was not as good as it is now back then, but it would have been nice to see them in sort of high resolution. Actually, you know what, there's options up there. Let's see if there's a, what happens if I don't refresh rate? Oh no, I'm at the highest refresh rate, so okay, yeah, well, I thought maybe there would be a graphics settings, but there isn't. Oh well, right. Let's continue on our adventures. Right now, I want to know what's going on. Ooh, it actually moved in real time with this thing. Let's go see. Okay. Ooh.
This diver's helmet belonged to Mr. Montague. He caught the bug for underwater exploration. Unfortunately, a rather large octopus caught him.
Okay. Fine. Oh, there's my phone buzzing again. We don't know why. Right.
This diver's help.
Wait, no, shut up, Christopher Lee. Right. What this?
This diver.
Is that... What? There must be something else to it. Looking for sort of a hot point over it that I could... No, it's literally just Christopher Lee saying, cool, yeah. I don't even know why that's there. That's weird. Right, I'm going to have a look around this side before we head into those doors there. Ooh. Some Easter Island heads. I've got a couple of those in my garden. 3 of them. 3 little replica ones sit next to my shed. Nope. Oh, okay, so there's the door we came in. Let's move forward. Let's have a look around here. So that's at the bottom of the stairs. That there is a picture of a man, which means we're probably going to get...
It was on a Sunday morning, very warm, very hot, about 11 o'clock in the morning, and the group of people I was with went off for a walk, and I decided that I was going to play the trumpet. I was outside, I think I was playing Summertime or something like that. And quite suddenly I was terrified. I mean, I really was absolutely petrified. I was cold, I had shivers down my back, and I was so scared I ran into the house. And I didn't know why I was scared, I just was. What I realised was, when I stopped playing, there was no sound at all, nothing. No birds, no pigeons, the trees weren't moving, none of the trees. Now in a forest, the chance of trees not being moved by wind is almost nil, but nothing was moving, there was no sound at all. That night, I was in bed, I don't know what time it was, maybe 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, it was quite late. And I woke up, and again I was absolutely terrified, and I couldn't breathe this time. I mean, I really couldn't breathe. I was, and that was it. But there was definitely something was getting at me that day. The 2 incidents.
Yeah, it's called anxiety.
Couldn't, especially the still trees. I mean, that's the thing. Still trees and no birds singing in a forest. But it was, well, if that wasn't being haunted, I don't know what was. I mean, it's really quite a serious thing, which I'll never forget.
Okay, how very peculiar. Right. Yeah, that's called an anxiety attack, mate. How very odd. Ooh, can we look at that? What's in there? Nothing. It seems to be that there's loads of different like objects. I mean, I know they're trying to give you the... No. They're trying to give you the feeling of I don't want to do that. Oh, there we go. Go that way. Then turn around. They want to give you the feeling of sort of, exploring everything, and obviously they can't make everything do something, but like Diver's Helmet, and they went in trouble of recording like dialogue for Christopher Lee about it. It's like, okay, fair enough. Right, let's have a look. What's this? It's a painting. Oh, it's got a spooky face in it.
Should you see a portrait fall from a wall, look carefully at the subject of the painting. This unfortunate person may soon be dead.
Goodness. How spoopy. Right. Is it another plant? Another plant pot to look at? Weird. What's this? Yeah, it's just it's a mirror with a vase. This is weird. Well, that looks fun. What's this going to do?
As you walk around Hobbs Manor, you will almost certainly find some portraits and films of experts like myself in the field of the paranormal. Tony Cornell has over 30 years' experience in the field of paranormal study and investigation. He has developed a sophisticated ghost detecting machine called Spider, which travels with him to the hundreds of ghostly locations that he investigates. Dr. Susan Blackmore is a senior lecturer at the University of the West of England. She has a doctorate in parapsychology and has written widely on the subject. She was awarded the Distinguished Skeptics Award in California in 1991 and has been involved in the production of many television programs on the paranormal. Robin Furman is a trained psychologist and expert in the field of the paranormal. He founded Ghostbusters UK in 1984 and has since investigated hundreds of hauntings. Father John Nuttall is a Roman Catholic priest who
We've already
preaches
seen him.
in the county of Surrey. He is fascinated by the subject of ghosts and has helped members of his parish in the past who have experienced hauntings.
Well, thank you, Christopher Lee. Yeah, I had a little grin at the beginning there because he mentioned the guy with his ghost detecting machine. I think I've seen this guy before, and I think it looks like a bloody... Oh, it's like a light that flashes, and you reckon... Oh, yeah, he'll be on this if it's the guy I'm thinking of. It's hilarious. I mean, like, you know, there's undoubtedly some people on this who are going to be experts, you know, parapsychologists and things like that, and the lady who's mentioned to be skeptic and everything, which would be really quite interesting. But I bet you there's some proper cranks on this too. But, you know, you only have to go on social media on sort of a lot of paranormal Facebook groups to see that, like, man, some people are so desperate to believe literally anything to do with the paranormal's real. It's I don't know, it's kind of sad, really, in a sort of genuinely sad sort of way. Anyway, that was quite serious. Let's go down here. Why is it two doors? Do you think they lead to the same place? I don't think they do. No, not that. Back that way. Let's go down the left one. Ooh, a spooky basement. Downstairs we... Ooh, we had a sound effect there. The door shutting behind us. Continuing down the stairs. Alright, this looks like Buffalo Bill's basement. Puts the lotion on its skin. Right, here we go. Ah! Ah! Wait. No, alright. Can we go on the computer? Ooh! Ah, there's the CD-ROM. Look at that. Okay. Oh, this is kind of cool. Oh, that's a cool idea. It's like a glossary of sort of paranormal terms. Sort of, yeah, it's just a quick paragraph about what each one is. Fox Sisters, do I remember that? Oh, yes, yeah, Beth Spiritualism, yes. I think they were the ones who... Yeah, they were the first ones who used to do sort of round table sort of seances and things. They announced it was fake. Wah, wah, wah. So, you know, surely when the first people who were really doing that, I mean, obviously there's been people doing to communicate with spirits for hundreds of years, but really in the sort of Victorian sense, you know, the kind of sitting around the table tapping, levitation, ectoplasm, all that sort of stuff. Surely when the first ones who were famous for doing it come out and say it's fake, you got to be a bit suspicious about all the others, yeah? Oh, what else we got in here? Corpse lights. We did a video about, well, kind of about corpse lights. Some sightings at Hellfire Corner, which is near here. I think it was in the, I want to say the 40s and the 80s. People thought it was ghost sightings, but every time people saw balls of light come out of the woods, floating above the woods, and then they would just float off. And some people think it was, corpse lights, or ghost lights, as they're sometimes called as well. But yeah, as it says there, one of the main explanations people think it is marsh gas that essentially is, you know, lit, and is just sort of dissipating. Interesting though. What else we got in here? So Arthur Conan Doyle, very intelligent man, believed in fairies, and obviously wrote Sherlock Holmes. There you go. He believed in paranormal. I know because I remember reading. Oh yeah, it says there. Yeah, he became friends with Houdini, and they both fell out eventually, if I'm not mistaken. After Houdini refused to believe that Conan Doyle contacted his mother during a seance that both men had attended, because Houdini was like famous skeptic. He believed it was all complete bollocks, but Arthur Conan Doyle believed anything. And then, as it says, they believed the photos of the Cottingley fairies, which were just cardboard cutouts. Oh dear. Oh well. His entire life he believed the existence of fairies. Oh my goodness, what else we got here? Let's have a look, see if there's any other interesting ones. Ooh. What's the Gansfield experiments? Wholefield. Study the level of an individual's extrasensory perception. ESP. Okay. I didn't know that's what that was called. I'm learning. Learning's fun. The subject relaxes on a couch or mattress. Their eyes are covered with half ping pong balls, and white noise is played so that all senses, blare, and distractions are now cut out. At this point, the further experiments are carried out to test the subject's ability to transmit telepathic thoughts to a receiver. Oh, excuse me. It's like that opening scene in Ghostbusters, isn't it? And Peter's holding up the cards with all the... I think that's got a name as well. Can't remember though. Oh, look, a definition of ghost in case you need that. I'm trying to use the scroll wheel on my mouse, like to scroll down, but this was in the days before scroll wheels. Or if there was were scroll wheels, sorry, back then they weren't as widely used and therefore not integrated into programs very much. Well, it's quite kind of cool actually. I'm probably gonna have a little look at this myself at some point. There's a couple of things on here that I'm not familiar with actually. Xena cards, is that the cards? 25 cards grouped into 5 sets of 5 cards. All cards have one of 5 simple designs and circle, rectangle. Yes, that is the ones I was on about. Dr. Venkman uses. Yeah. Zombies. Cool. Yes. Well, it gives the modern sort of theory of where a lot of the Haitian and excuse me, I know I'm so tired. Haitian and voodoo zombies thing would come from. You know, drugging people, which is, has happened. It's been documented. People turning up who were presumed dead years previous, and they've basically just been kept perpetually drugged and then used as sort of labour on farms. Kind of grim. Well, I think kind of grim. It's totally grim. I'll have a look at that later on. Let's move on. Can we do this way? How do it? Oh, yeah. Just what's around here? Is that a bottle of... What's that? Can we look at this? Nope, we can't. You'd think I could go on the projector, wouldn't you? Let's have a look at this. Ooh, a folder. And a tape. Ghosts and technology. Ho ho ho. Oh, just going on about... I'm guessing it's double exposure. It's probably about... See, since photography was invented, people have been, faking ghost photos. I've got quite a lot in some books downstairs about like the history of ghost photography and things like that, which I will bust out at some point, I think. So it's ghost and technology side. Yes, okay. Like I said, not going to read too much of this stuff. Is it? Oh, this is Spider. Oh, right, okay, this is a different thing that I'm thinking of then. Large box containing a computer, printer, video and photography equipment, light and electrostatic, ultrasonic and infrared detectors. Some possible poltergeist activity has been captured using this device, but the evidence is far from black and white. However, Spider has been successful in eliminating many events as fraudulent that may have otherwise been thought to have been paranormal. Ooh, Ghostbusters UK. Oh, and there's 4 of them as well. Make use of computerized surveillance equipment in their investigations. Okay. Acorn computers. Man, this is old. I can't even remember when the last Acorn was. Probably the early to mid 90s, I want to say. Anyway, the machine has been given the name Robo Ghost. Oh dear. Okay, fair enough. It's just what I don't get about a lot of technology that gets used in like paranormal investigation is there's literally no basis for it. There's been no evidence to suggest this stuff works. When you get the like EMF, electromagnetic field readers, and what is it called? The one that they use. There's a one that they use. Basically, it goes through all of the it rotates through all radio stations, radio frequencies, like every 10th of a second or something. And the theory is that ghosts can use the sort of white noise to, there's no basis in it, and it just pull things out their ass, and then it becomes sort of a common thing to use. It's very, very odd. I'm sure there's certain things that they do which do have some basis, but yeah, a lot of it's just pseudoscience, isn't it? I hope people who watch this don't expect me to be just shattering their dreams and beliefs. Oh, there's a Gansfield experiment. Ping pong balls in the eyes and Xena cards. Yeah, we've already read all of that. Oh, there they are. Man, how can you put ping pong balls in someone's eyes and not be tempted to draw like googly cartoon eyes on them, before they put them on? Far more fun. Yeah, Xena cards. Why is that going backwards and forwards? Anyway, oh, okay, because we're at the end of that. Right, let's look what's on the tape. Who have we got? All right, we need to hear about Robo Ghost, but what have we got here? I want to go back. Why can't I go back? I go back. Do you have to go like that and then back in? Oh, that's a pain. Right, let's hear about fraudulence involved in lab experiments.
That's a very difficult question, and I don't know the answer. I have been involved with a couple of cases where I suspected that fraud was involved, and even then I couldn't be absolutely sure that it was. There are very few experiments that reliably get good results. At the moment, the Ganzfeld experiments done by Charles Oniton in the States stand up as the most impressive laboratory results that there are. Now, I don't know how those came about. If those experiments have been done the way they are written up in the literature, then it looks as though they're due to psi, because they certainly couldn't be due to sensory leakage. But fraud is a very difficult one. You never can completely rule out fraud. However hard you try, there's always somebody who could come and cheat. Somebody who's designed the experiment can always see a way around it. Someone who's written the programs that run it can always see a way around it. It's very, very difficult to design a fraud-proof experiment. What makes that not important in most of science is that we have theories that get better and better and better, and a little bit of fraud along the way won't matter. The problem is in the realm of ghosts and psychic phenomena that we don't have good theories, and we're always relying on one great proof, and if that's fraudulent, the whole thing falls down. I think it's sad to say some of the most important psychic experiments have been fraudulent, like Sol's experiments in the 1940s. But as for all the ones today, I don't know.
I mean, why do people want to fake it? Is it for sort of like fame and notoriety, or like, don't know. It's very strange. It's very strange that people would want to fake that stuff. Yeah, very odd. But shall we hear from Rodney Mitchell about Robo Ghost? Here we go.
What we have here is a computer system that is monitoring a number of sensors which are on the end of wires. So this is one of them, which is nearby. This is a temperature sensor, a small, very sensitive sensor, which is feeding information into the computer, which is then being recorded and displayed on the screen as a trace. Now if I grab hold of this, you'll see the temperature go up along that curve there. And as the temperature goes up, it's recorded and into the computer's memory, and we can take it off onto a floppy disk and then analyse the data at a later stage. And what is more, this machine will give a warning if any of the readings change fairly drastically. I don't know if it'll do it for me if I'm hot enough to get a significant effect. I don't think I am, but you can see the temperature fluctuating.
He's basically just said, "I've got this thing, and it's not working, but it's a thing, and really we can detect ghosts with it. Honest." Okay, buddy. Anyway, let's continue on our adventure of disappointment. We looked in there, didn't we? Yeah, it was ghost and technology. Okay, can we go on that drawer? Ooh, a vial of some sort of fluid. Is it apple juice or lime cordial, perhaps? All right. Can we on the top one? No, only the bottom two. What's this? A table of stuff. Oh!
What we have here is a wand sensor. It's a type of thermometer. And the useful thing about that is not only is it on a long lead so we can investigate temperatures physically, but because it has an illuminated digital readout, it's very useful for seeing even in the dark. And the change of temperature is noticed directly. Now, we can, if a report has been such as here, when there's a phantom has been seen under this particular building,
a phantom?
you can find out if a temperature change is associated with it, you see. It may or may not be. So we can look. Somebody said, there was something on this chair there. So we can actually leave it. Now, we can actually leave the thing, so we're not disturbing anything. We can go to where the readout is, even if it were in another room, because we can have the wire as long as we wish and see what's taking place at a distance. It's a good idea. So it's simple in essence.
A
But
thermometer.
it's the interpretation of the data that it gives us that is important, you see.
Yes, I do see. Thank you, Robin, for introducing us to a thermometer. What's this? I don't want to watch Robin again. What's this? Oh, a switch.
This is a little device that's
Oh,
designed to
Rodney's
detect
back.
the charged ions in the air. Now these ions can be either negative or positive. Positive is usually bad. It gives people bad impressions of the atmosphere of a place. Negative is usually good. It makes people feel quite good. So an excess of positive ions in a room would cause people to feel it was unpleasant, spooky, had a bad atmosphere and so on.
Now,
So we will check that out using this
I
piece of
have
equipment
read about
to,
that. You get
to see if
things
there's any sort of
called, which
reason
some people
why
call fear
people might be
cages,
feeling bad
especially
about the place
electromagnetic,
anyway.
and it can
it
make
could be
people
that,
feel uneasy
A ghost
and
has
some people
form of,
think
ionising
someone's
field
watching
that
them
causes
because they
people
get
to
this
see
weird
it
feeling,
in the way that
but it's all
ionised air will
completely
glow.
explainable.
So there could be some association. So we use this to check that. And looking around here,
Some smashing
I'm
jumpers
afraid
on
we're
this,
getting
isn't there?
no
It does.
unusual readings at all in this area where the ghost was seen. So at the moment,
Oh yeah, they're in a
there's
pub.
nothing
Want to go
untoward
hotel,
happening,
maybe?
unfortunately.
Yeah. Nothing untoward, apparently, at the moment. So that's good. It's good. Just spider, yeah. Spontaneous psychophysical incident data electronic recorder. Lovely. There's again. My goodness, it's big. And there's cameras as well. I think that's it's an infrared camera. That one there, I think. And that appears to be is that a Polaroid? I think that says Polaroid at the top. Either Polaroid or Panasonic. If it's a Polaroid, it's a weird shape on. I don't know if yeah. Either way, we're not here to talk about cameras. Onwards, quest for knowledge. Oh, this is the thing I was on about. This is the guy's ghost detecting device. This is great, right? Oh, I hope we get a video. Oh, we
This
do.
fascinating piece of machinery was constructed in case we needed to deal with a terrifying entity of some sort. Because people often say to us, have you ever been frightened with what you're doing? We've never actually been frightened, but you never know. If we saw an entity, we could in fact, literally, like the Ghostbusters, we could sort of, fire a beam of light, and we might have an epileptic ghost if we did that, but it is a very real piece of machinery. Now,
That's not.
it's very complicated, but in brief, on the side of the machinery, we have here a GSR machine, galvanic skin response machine, which you hold in one hand, and if you see something that's frightening, you could sweat. You might not realize you were sweating, but there would be a response in the palm of your hand. This then emits a high-pitched buzz, and if you felt uncomfortable, you think, my God, people have reported a sinister presence there, but I don't actually see anything. You hold this, and if you began to feel uncomfortable, it would be responded, you get a sound here, and then if you wanted to, even though you couldn't see it with your physical eyes, you could nevertheless upset it with that. It's very difficult with anything like this
I don't even know what to
commonly
say.
to decide what is, as it were, subjective or objective. It's something that you think you're going to feel, or is there something really there? On one occasion we used it when there was something really there. We used it in a deserted church. We fired the beam of light at a swirling green, ominous mist, which exploded into trillions of glistening lights and
No, you
rushed
didn't.
out of the door and disappeared. Now,
No, you didn't.
we saw it, believe it or believe it not, that doesn't
I
matter
don't.
to me. But the fact is, it came in useful. We liked the machine, we developed it, and it's fun. But the galvanic skin response machine does help you to decide if you are actually physically responding to something anyway. Now, there's a lot more that could be said, but it's probably beyond the scope of what we're recording just now.
You're not clever enough to understand, so we're not going to talk about it. Look at it. That's the most stupid thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It is a toy gun. I mean, look, this... Did they intentionally try to make this bit look like a pump action shotgun? Oh my god. Yeah, the first time I read about or saw this thing, I genuinely thought it was like satire. Oh dear me. Oh, Ghostbusters UK. I wonder if they're still around. Should we have a look? Let's get my phone out and we'll see if Ghostbusters UK still exist. Let's have a look. So I don't wanna shut this window down. Ghostbusters UK. Yeah, there we go. Do they still exist? I'm just getting Ghostbusters Afterlife. We got the UK Ghostbusters. What's that? That might be them. We built. No, they are a they are a costume group. Do sort of cosplay for Ghostbusters in the UK. I don't think they exist anymore. No, I don't think they do. Ghostbusters UK paranormal group. Let's have a look. No, they don't. No, they don't. The thing that it has brought up though is West Yorkshire's real life Ghostbuster. It says here, Jason Osterfield, who we are meant to be going out with at some point, going on one of those investigations and interviewing those guys about what they get up to and why, and maybe I'll get some answers to all this weird stuff. But as far as I've heard, most of the guys who are in that group are actually sort of skeptics who go to try and disprove a lot of things to help people who, you know, perhaps are scared in their own homes of thinking they're haunted, and they go there and disprove it to basically put them at ease, which is a cool thing to do, I think. But yeah, we're probably going to go out with those guys at some point, which is nice. Been in talks with them for a while. Okay, let's go down here. What have we got? We got some wine. Is these wine bottles? Is there a... Oh, okay. Ah. Okay, so I'm guessing. So ABC, I think. A, B, C, C, D, C, D, E, F. Right, okay, I think we have to spell ghosts. J, K, L, M, N, O. Yeah, I think we do. P, Q, R, S, T. Ah. Oh, that's the recording of the Enfield Poltergeist. The Enfield Haunting, which I think might be mentioned in this, because I saw Maurice Gross's name at the beginning. He was the investigator on that case. Did a really good few episodes of Unexplained podcast. Richard McLean Smith recently did a couple of, I think, like 3 episodes maybe on that. Really good. Check him out. He's got a very good book out as well, actually. Actually, I'll show you the book, actually, because I've got it up here. Where's it at? Yeah, that one there. Really, really good. Unexplained. And the podcast's awesome. The book's all more, sort of, a few more cases in there that aren't mentioned in the podcast, which is kind of cool. And the first one happens... or at least starts in my old hometown of Hartlepool. It's kind of cool. Anyhow, let's go down this spooky hallway. Hello. See, back in the 90s, this would have been silent like this. This would have been enough to really shit people up. Didn't take much in interactive media. What we got through here? Come on. It's a painting. Let's have a look at it.
We meet again, my friend.
Hello, Christopher.
I'm afraid that I have misled you slightly. My life ended long ago, and I've become part of this house.
Oh my god, he's a ghost.
I now know the answers to all its mysteries, but I cannot share them with you. You must make your own decisions about ghosts and spirits, and wait until you leave this world to find the real answers. I wish you good luck with your quest.
Well, there we go. About as much use as a candy floss door knocker. I know stuff, but I'm not going to tell you. So we have an entire basement just built to house a painting that comes to life and tells us, no, not telling you anything. Cool. Thanks. Alright, okay. This. There we go. Back through we go. So I think might have had all we can get from this spoopy basement. Is there anything around here? What's this? Nah. Let's head back upstairs. There was another door next to it, wasn't there, that we can have a look at. See if that. I'm guessing that'll probably take us down to another basement, perhaps. Let us see. Right. We'll turn around. And again. There it is. Let's look. Oh. Is it? Oh, no. Looks like a kitchen of some sort. Looks like the servants' kitchen. Cool. Right. Let's have a look around. Oh, no. Someone's left the poison out.
Justice is often blind, and there are some who would sooner take the law into their own hands
Was
than
he
see
poisoned?
a crime go unpunished.
Oh, no.
The case of Nell Cook, the servant of a canon of Canterbury Cathedral, plainly illustrates the dangers of setting oneself up as judge, jury, and executioner. Nell Cook tended house for the new canon of Canterbury Cathedral as best she could, and was rewarded for her diligence and devotion by deceit and gross impropriety. She had not always felt this way, and when the canon gave his first mass in the cathedral, she was suitably impressed by the character of her new employer. The old canon, who mercifully passed away after many years of ill health, was a kind but ineffectual cleric, more concerned with getting his meals on time than spreading the word of the Lord. Now, here before her was clearly a man of passion, who had directed his considerable energies and charisma in the service of the church, and yet there was something about the new canon, like the way he would never look her in the eye before he went to visit parishioners who had sought advice in spiritual matters, or his often extreme moodiness and irritability after returning from some of these calls. Nell put this down to his youth and passionate temperament, but she would soon find out the depths of his feelings.
My goodness.
The canon was a man who kept odd hours, and it was difficult for Nell to arrange meals at set times. One evening, after watching the stew she had laboured over all afternoon grow cold on the dresser, she decided to wait for him to come home so that she could broach the matter forthwith.
Whatever has he been up to?
Late that night, Nell was drifting in and out of sleep in the kitchen when she heard the scuffle of feet and whispered giggling from the drawing-room upstairs. She couldn't believe it was the canon. She crept up the stairs to catch a glimpse
smooching the
of
ladies?
intruders, and was sickened to the stomach by the sight that greeted her eyes. The young canon, obviously inebriated, was on the settle, being very familiar with a young woman. But the real shock came when the priest's companion turned around, revealing herself as none other than his own niece.
Oh, dirty
Nell
old man.
could bear the scene no longer, and stole off to her own room to a fitful rest. In the morning, the niece was nowhere to be seen, and the canon seemed in particularly high spirits. His hypocrisy appalled Nell, and she had to take her leave with some feeble excuse about tending to something on the stove. In the kitchen, her sanctuary, Nell brooded over the night's events. She decided to bide her time, as this might be isolated indiscretion, not uncommon amongst men of the cloth. But deep down she feared the worst, and her instincts were soon borne out. The canon's niece started making more frequent calls on her uncle at his quarters, and their conduct together became more brazen and unforgivable. It was not something Nell could discuss with anyone else, so she resolved to deal with the matter herself.
Murder.
One evening, when she expected the canon's niece for dinner, she expressly made the priest his favourite meal, mutton pie, emptying a bottle of arsenic into the filling, and grimly smiling at the irony of it all. After serving the pie to them,
What a horrible face.
Nell waited
both of
by the
them.
dining room door, wondering at the effects of her special repast, But nothing happened. After the meal, which seemed to go on forever, the canon congratulated her on an excellent dinner, as
Oh
usual,
no, what's
and
happened?
said that he and his niece would retire to the study where she would help him work on tomorrow's sermon.
I bet you would.
Nell hurried to the kitchen to check that she had used the right bottle, when she heard a cry from above, the study. The poison must be doing its mischief, and so Nell took her time responding to the desperate pleas for help. When she reached the room, she found the
the wrong
canon
people.
and his niece
Oh, no.
writhing on the floor
She has
in
killed them.
agony. Foam the colour of sage forming around their mouths, and their eyes wide with terror and supplication. But Nell
Yum,
simply
yum.
watched them with a curious detachment, as if none of this was really happening, bade them good night, and retired to bed. Yet her awakening was violent, wresting her from a deep slumber. Upon opening her eyes, she saw a crowd of people in her room, all speaking in agitated tones, and the most vehement amongst them was the man now shaking her roughly by the shoulders. Still drowsy, Nell could not fathom what her assailant was babbling, but when he mentioned the poison, the hairs rose on the back of her neck, and she recalled her actions of the previous night. It all seemed like a dream. Now, fully roused, she attempted to explain, to defend herself, but those gathered in her room were well past listening and only sought vengeance for the slaying of their priest. Nell was dragged from bed and into the streets, where the people who had once been her friends and neighbours turned on her with a viciousness that was breathtaking. Stones caught her in the head
I'm
and chest,
not talking through this,
forcing
man,
her to her
because,
knees, blood
I like
pouring
listening
freely from a
peacefully.
gash on her cheek, and still it rained stones, pounding her into the ground, her arms uselessly hanging by her sides, and then succumbed to the darkness.
Oh.
If only that were the end of it. On regaining consciousness, Nell found herself at the bottom of a deep pit, looking up at her tormentors, some of whom had shovels in their hands. She desperately tried to raise herself, railing against her attackers and accusing the priest of terrible sins, but their response to this blasphemy was a clump of earth that hit her hard in the face, filling her mouth and choking off her appeal. And then the next mound of dirt landed on her, and the next, until her body was covered by damp, cool soil. The last thing she saw through the clod of mud clinging to her cheeks was the poison bottle being thrown into the grave with her. And then the darkness truly closed in. Forever.
Awesome.
The passage between the old infirmary cloister and the Green Court in Canterbury Cathedral is known as the Dark Entry, and Nell Cook's spirit is said to wander through this foreboding corridor, lamenting the injustice of her fate. It is also said that any who look upon the wretched apparition will soon taste death themselves.
Awesome. That's nice. Nice spooky tale there from Mr. Lee. Like it. Cool. Let's see what else we can find in the kitchen. Oh, no, wrong way. That's the way I came. Who's the door at the back? There's a couple of photos on here. What are these? Collection of exquisite imagery from some of England's most haunted. Oh, alright. What is this? Oh, alright then. Cool. Exquisite imagery. Apparently. What's this? Same again? Yeah. Lots of exquisite imagery. I want Christopher Lee to read everything on this. There's a piece of meat on the side. What's that? Oh, it's a pair of gloves. Pair of gloves. Pair of gloves. Oh! Out, damn spot. Oh, is it looking there again? So, just fills with blood and that's it. Oh, cool. Yeah. Let's have a look around here. Pots and pans. No, no. See what I mean? There's just a lot of stuff you can look at that doesn't really do anything. It's a bit odd. We haven't had a look on this cupboard though. Oh my goodness. A spooky jack-o'-lantern or pumpkin. Ah! I find it really really strange that that's there, because obviously, like, traditionally, really, I mean, when I was a kid, you didn't see pumpkins at all. You just didn't see them on Halloween. It was always turnips or Swedes, which is the original traditional version from Ireland. My understanding was, I think, if I remember correctly, I think pumpkins started getting used in the US. If I remember correctly, I think, did the Dutch bring pumpkins to America, and then they started getting widely used? I might be totally wrong there, but that's kind of what I seem to remember. But yeah, not until really recently we used to have pumpkins on Halloween. You didn't. It was Swedes, which, you're a hard person when you can carve out a Swede. But I can still remember the, like, smells are very powerful memories, and the smell of almost the inside of a Swede baking from having a candle in it, because we didn't put tea lights in them, we would put proper candles in them, dig a little hole, stick it in, or however you wanted to do it, and then have a proper candle, and you used to smell it sort of like a baking smell. It's really kind of like really a really sort of powerful nostalgic whiff for me. Right, so we've got a glass.
If you have ever broken a glass whilst drinking, you will have experienced an omen of death.
Oh, cool. Thanks. That's why I have plastic. Is there anything in the teapot? An eyeball! As you go backwards and forwards, it'll just do a little dance. Dance an eyeball. Oh, love these low colour. I think are these 64 colour, I want to say, these programs, but yeah, really low colour. Anyhow, let's get out of this room. I think the sort of showstopper in there was meant to be the, oh no, there's a back door, wasn't there? It was the Nell Cook story. Let's have a look at this back door.
Are you sure you want to leave the house now?
No, I don't. I don't want to leave the house now. So I'm guessing you can exit via that door or the front door where I came in, I'm guessing. Let's go. Let's continue. Is what? Wait a second. I didn't see that staircase before. Ooh. There's a spooky staircase. Let's go up. See what we can see. So now we're on the top floor, in one of the bedrooms by the looks of it. Okay. What have we got? We got a spooky chair. We got a spooky bed with something on it. Ah, this will be another tape, won't it? Right, yeah. What's this? Believers. There are people all over the world that have devoted their lives to the task of proving to the skeptics that ghosts and spirits exist. These are the people I have trouble with, because you can't argue with reason. They're determined to. They believe, and yeah, there's no talking. I've had many frustrating conversations with people. Who's this lady? Jane Hartley is a social worker living in Yorkshire, where we are right now. One-time skeptic, she has recently become aware that she has inherited her mother's and grandmother's ability to see ghosts. No, she hasn't. Right. Father John Nuttall's back. There she is. Oh, let's listen to one of her ghosts. Let's see who else is on here first. Oh, Robin Furman's back again. Let's have a listen to her ghost story, and then we'll listen to Robin's story as well. Oh, I see. You clicked on the bottom right then. Oh, cool. He's a trained psychologist and expert in the field of paranormal. He founded the organisation Ghostbusters UK in '84 and has since investigated hundreds of hauntings. Ghostbusters UK's eccentric activities have attracted worldwide media attention. He's hoping to collect enough evidence to support his arguments for the succeed. He's not trying to prove or disprove. He's trying to prove, and therein lies the problem. Anyway, let's hear her story first. Let's have a listen.
But this particular night, perfectly ordinary night,
that's
I
a
went to
hairdo,
bed
isn't it?
around 11ish, which was normal for us. Went into the room, went to sleep, perfect, nothing odd about the night. The
Is
room
that hair or a helmet?
It was dark because it was quite high
Or a
up, so
hairy
the street
helmet.
lighting didn't shine a bright light in there, but you could distinguish the shapes of all the furniture, and colours were in terms of shades of grey and black. You couldn't have picked out colours in the light. Anyway, I'd gone to sleep, and I don't know how long I'd been asleep or quite when I woke up. It was still dark, and I woke up and I sort of just laid there and I thought, oh God, what's wrong with me? I felt really ill. I felt sort of slightly sick, slightly feverish, just very, very odd. And I sort of laid there feeling uneasy, and I thought, God, I'm really ill, there's something really wrong. Thinking I'm going to have to phone the other co-worker at the other house to get somebody to come round.
Why just ill?
I turned over in the bed, I'd been facing the wall. I turned over and had my eyes open, and there was a figure of a woman stood maybe 2-3 feet away from the bed. She seemed quite tall, but then I was laid down in the bed and she was stood up. Her silhouette was very simple, sort of shape, long dress, sort of seemed to be quite high-necked. Her face I could distinguish was paler, but I couldn't see her features clearly, and her head was in my direction, and I very much felt that she was looking at me, and I was absolutely petrified. I was really, really scared, and she just didn't move. She just stood there. I mean, I can't remember whether her arms were by her side or in front of her. She was very still. And I didn't even debate in my head, you're not seeing this. I knew I was seeing it, and I was very frightened. And the problem was, I was completely trapped. The bed was in the corner of the room, the door was sort of over here, and she was stood in between. And there's no way I was going to get out of that bed to pass her or even attempt to go around her. I can't express how frightened I was. So I just got my head under the duvet, and I stayed under the duvet, sweated it out, until I thought morning must be here, and I kept sort of peering out, waiting for the light to come. The light came, I got my clothes, and I left that room.
Spooky time.
Next day, of course, at 9 o'clock in the morning, the co-worker from the other house came round, and it had really shaken me up. I was still sort of feeling strange and very, very depressed, and the feeling from her was one of total desolation. And I just felt so depressed, and I'm not a depressed person at all. And I said to the other co-worker, I'd actually told him I'd had a dream, because I'd decided at this point it must have been a nightmare, a dream. And I told him, and just said, God, I couldn't sleep last night, and this happened, I saw this, I was so scared. And he just looked at me and said, don't say any more, you've got to speak to this guy called Ken. And he wouldn't sort of elaborate. He said, wait till Ken comes in this afternoon, to take over.
Good old Ken.
So I waited, this guy came in, and I said to him, I think I had this really weird dream, dreamt that I saw a ghost, I think. And he said, oh, what did she look like? And I knew when he said that, what did she look like, that he'd seen it. So I described what I'd seen, and he and the other co-worker was sat there as well, just smiling all the time, and apparently every detail tallied. But this guy, Ken, had seen her much clearer. He'd watched her, he hadn't been as frightened as I was, and he watched her disappear through the wall. And the second time he saw her was in broad daylight. There was a full-length mirror on the wall. He had his foot on a chair, tying his shoelace one morning, looked up to sort of just fluff his hair, and there she was in the reflection of the mirror, and she just disappeared. She melted away, she didn't move away from him. And as I say, every detail tallied, though his description was much clearer because he'd seen her in daytime. And I never slept in that room again. I wouldn't sleep. There was a smaller sort of cupboard, and I slept in that. I wouldn't go in that room again because I was so frightened.
That she slept in a cupboard? What? Anyway, yeah, I mean, yeah, cool story and all that, and you know, you've got some providence there because of the other person saying this sort of something, but you know, when they start off by saying, "Oh, I felt ill," hallucinations are a mad thing, totally mad thing. I remember my nana when she was still alive. Now she did believe in ghosts and things, and claimed to have seen all sorts of stuff, but maybe about 10 years ago, no, probably a bit longer. She was on medication for can't remember what it was for. Was it maybe thyroid or something? But it was like proper, really powerful medication she was on. And she used to say that she knew it wasn't real, and she knew it was because of her medication. But she would have hallucinations when she took it sometimes, and she'd be sat watching the television, and she'd see people stood in front of the television, and they seemed so real that they would lean in front of her to try and get her attention, looking down at her, trying to get her attention, and she would have to move to be able to see the television because her brain was perceiving them as blocking the television, and she knew it wasn't real, and it was all to do with their medication. Totally, yeah, mad stuff. It can be totally mad, but you know, there we go. Oh, shall we hear about Robin Furman? I hope he's got his ghost gun in this adventure he talks about. His little Poundland proton pack. There we go.
On one occasion we used it when there was something
yes.
really there. We used
Brilliant.
it in a deserted church.
You've already said
We
this.
fired the beam of light at a swirling green, ominous mist, which exploded into trillions of glistening lights and rushed out of the door and
he's gonna
disappeared.
elaborate.
Now, we saw it, believe it or believe it not, that doesn't matter to me.
Oh, is that all we got? Well, we already had that bit anyway. Well, okay. Let's head on. Oh, I totally forgot what room we were in there. Let me guess. I'm going to look at this, and there's going to be now in it. Oh, it's full of something red. Oh my goodness. Right. Anything in the mirror? Nothing. Totally pointless. Oh, some paintings. There's this. Oh yes, the priest and the skeptic. What are ghosts? Well, let's see what the skeptic says, because we know what the priest's going to say.
I think a ghost is something constructed by one's own mind, a mental image, a mental construction that is seen in the context of the ordinary world, an eyes open apparition. It's easy enough when you shut your eyes to have mental images against a blank background. It's harder for most people to have them in front of the filing cabinet, the piano, whatever it is. But I think that's precisely what a ghost is, and that's why they look the way they do.
Agreed. Let's hear from for the sake of being impartial. Let's hear from Father John Nuttall what ghosts do.
Well, I think the simple, almost a dictionary definition of what are ghosts would be something along the lines of a disembodied spirit of somebody who's obviously died.
Okay. That was educational. Right. Oh, I'm having this room's really small. I'm having a really hard time getting my bearings in it. I think that's a door. Is that a door? Yes. Oh, there's a cupboard or a door. Oh my goodness. It's a coffin. Why is there a coffin in here? Oh, please tell me Christopher Lee's in this, because he did say he died. Let's have a look. Oh. Ugh.
There are some for whom death holds no dominion, for whom a visitation from the grim reaper is simply an opportunity to challenge the Dark Lord's presumptuous presence. Sir James Lowther, the first Earl of Lonsdale, was one such man, whose spirit was sustained in life, as it was after death, by sheer malevolence and an indomitable will. Lord Lonsdale, or Wicked Jimmy, as he was better known, was an eccentric and haughty aristocrat whose tyranny knew no bounds, a sinister figure to many of his contemporaries.
Don't hear the
his
word
greed for
enough.
power in both business and politics was rapacious, and it was a foolish peasant who did not meet his criminal extortion of grain and livestock. The unlucky individual would be flogged mercilessly until Lowther grew bored of the amusement. He was also a man of unbridled passions, and this was to prove his ruin. Despite his overweening authority and fearsome temper, Lonsdale was trapped in an unhappy arranged marriage and engaged in unwise dalliances outside his ancestral home of Lowther Castle.
Dalliances, you say?
His amorous attentions eventually fell on Sarah Cook, the handsome daughter of one of Lonsdale's tenant farmers. But as Sarah was considered of common stock and below his social standing, he was forced to keep her as his mistress in lavish style at his manor house in Hampshire. By and by, his love for Sarah grew, softening his mood and bringing much unaccustomed joy into his life. But it was not to last. In the winter of 1790, Sarah fell unaccountably ill and died at the manor.
That sucks.
There was no warning and no time to grieve, and so the Lord of Lonsdale reverted to his old ways and simply refused to accept her demise. Sarah's cold, stiffening body was left on the bed next to him, much to the disgust of Lowther's servants, who were forced to play along with this gruesome charade or face dismissal. For the first few days, the chambermaids cleaned and dressed the deceased and brought her down to dinner when their master returned from business. The two of them would be served their evening meal at the same time as usual. But manoeuvring the cutlery between the corpse's frozen fingers was a grim and nauseating chore for the young lad who attended table. But soon, no amount of perfume could disguise the sickly stench of death, as Sarah's putrefying flesh slipped free of its bone.
Putrefying, that's a good word.
In due course, the servants could bear it no longer, and left Lowther alone with his skeletal sweetheart. Wicked Jimmy then had the body placed inside a glass-fronted coffin so that he could gaze upon what was left of the face that had once so bewitched him. The days would drag by interminably, and he longed to rush back and be with Sarah, who would listen patiently to his stories of the day's progress and his overtures of love.
I think he might have been a little
all
bit
the
mentally
while
unwell.
staring at him with vacant sockets and smiling her grisly smile. He didn't need her to speak. He knew what was in her heart.
Didn't know the story.
But the inevitable could not be put off forever. As the body rotted and frayed in its bower of glass, Lowther was exhorted by the few acquaintances who dared visit him now to dispose of the body. It was not right for Sarah to be denied a consecrated burial. Her spirit could never be at rest. And so, 2 months after her death, Lowther buried his beloved at Paddington Cemetery in London. Wicked Jimmy, the scourge of the Westmoreland countryside, returned to Lowther Castle a broken man. Gone was the rambunctious despot, to be replaced by a desolate figure who suffered chronic bouts of depression and took to wandering aimlessly through the nearby woods for days on end. His wife had little option but to remain by his side, but his business languished and the estate fell into decay. He died in 1802, and there were few tears shed at his funeral. But Lowther could not resist one final affront.
Oh dear.
As the lid was about to be placed on top of his coffin, Wicked Jimmy suddenly sat up, eyes blazing. A sharp hiss of air issued from his dead lips. The tremendous force of his movement knocked the attending vicar off his feet and caused a gasp of horror to break out from the assembled mourners. Wicked Jimmy had risen from the grave like some demented Lazarus to strike terror into the hearts of his neighbors once more. However, a collective sigh of relief shuddered through the gathering when, having had the last word, Sir James Lowther sank back into his casket, which was hurriedly nailed shut. But if the people of Westmoreland thought that
It's,
was the last they would
there's
know
been
of the bad
recorded
lord,
cases
they were
of that happening,
sorely
of corpses
mistaken.
sitting up.
Lowther Hall was the first to bear
Or at
the
least
full
moving a little
brunt
bit like they
of
go
his
to film.
homecoming. The upper floors shook violently as his ghost strode about in a rage that forced those few kinsmen who had remained in the castle to cower in the chambers below. Worst of all, though, was the dreadful bellowing. Sir James's booming voice, which terrified those at the receiving end of his ire when he was alive, now threatened to shake the crumbling edifice of Lowther Castle to the ground.
My goodness.
But he would not confine his hauntings to his erstwhile residence,
That was one of
and
the most
spread his
widely
new
used
reign
stock
of
sounds
terror
for screams.
to the surrounding countryside. Dressed in black, thoroughly dishevelled and sporting a manic gleam in his eye, the first Earl of Lonsdale drove a spectral carriage pulled by demonic chargers through the quiet lanes bounding his
Go
estate.
hard or go home.
None would forget Wicked Jimmy in a hurry. Death
Cool.
may have hauled the physical
That
form
was cool.
of Sir James Lowther, defiant till the end, into the void, but his spirit would not be denied. Having been cheated of the great love of his life, he would not rest until all had felt his anguish. And the bad lord refuses to be silenced still.
What a thoroughly pleasant gentleman. Right. Oh, we got something in the chat there. Hello. We got a hello to Roman. Right. Need to get out of this room. I've been neglecting the chat a little. Is it just one way out of it? Let me turn around again. It's alright navigating around these rooms when there's enough space in them, but yeah, the smaller ones pain in the butt out. Ooh. Spooky door shut. Let's head back down the stairs then. I figured this would give us a route to the full the full floor, but yeah, it's not. It's just sort of a separate bit. Right, let's go back out. God, we've barely done. To be honest, I mean, you know, fair cop to them. We haven't really covered much at all. So is that the door I came through?
Are you sure you
Yeah.
want to leave the house now?
No, I don't. Thank you. Bye. Right. So that's the door in the middle. Oh, okay. Right. So that's the door out. We haven't been in there. We haven't been on the other side, and then we can go upstairs. Let's quickly go through all of these. Right. Okay. Telly.
Local vet Keith Michael has assured us that the cat will make a full recovery. And finally, tonight's special report investigates a real-life haunting. The residents of this 300-year-old house, set deep in the countryside of West Yorkshire, England, have been experiencing strange phenomena.
Where in West
An
Yorkshire?
apparition of a woman, known as the Nanny, has been seen in various locations around the house, invariably carrying washing in her arms. Local historian Norman Reed told our reporter that local records show that a wet nurse lived here in the 18th century. Witness Mavis Hartley is convinced that the apparition she has seen is the spirit of this woman.
Oh.
We have arranged for Ruth Brewery, a woman with psychic abilities, to visit the house to give her opinion of the ghostly events. She has not
Oh, that
spoken
was
to
a
the
spectre
residents
there.
before and has been told nothing of the events.
Oh, here we go. See some
Ruth's
cold
visit
reading
to
in
the
action.
house proved largely uneventful until she entered the small bedroom on the first floor. She made the following statement to our reporter after the event. As soon as I stepped into the bedroom, I felt a wave of oppressive cold come from the eaves and near the fireplace. I knew that this was a place where the spirit had
Cold
slept.
from a fireplace.
I didn't need to see her
Oh my
to know she was
goodness.
there. You've been watching Viewpoint. I'm Rhea Searcher. Good night.
Well, there you go. Yet again, you know, fair cop to them of to at least trying to deliver the information in interesting ways, walking around the house. You know, I just wish it had some sort of music. So even like the droney stuff on the interviews would have done the job. but you know, the tech wasn't quite up to it then. There's a clock. Is that it? Is it a candlestick? Can we go in the fireplace?
Look closely at the cinders within the hearth.
Okay.
If you find any that are shaped like a coffin, there may be a death in the family.
Fair enough. Thanks, Christopher. Let's have a look over here. Right, those pictures are obviously going to be videos of the usual suspects. Can we go in here? Oh, we can. Oh. Can we look in that suitcase? Oh, the Enfield poltergeist. That's probably one of the most, I suppose it often gets called, like the UK's Amityville. Oh dear, excuse me. Okay, so we're going to see some of Maurice Gross's bits and bobs. See, although there was a lot of evidence collected, a lot of people do say that Maurice Gross basically dressed it up a little, shall we say. Because he was coming in from a very much that coming in from an angle of wanting to believe, because he, if I remember correctly, I think his daughter died. I think she was like, God, she was young. I think she was like 20 or something. She might be even been younger. So he was coming from like this angle of sort of, you know, like loss. Like, you know, he wanted it to be real so he could believe. You know, I think it doesn't help if you have to be an impartial investigator when you're sort of coming in at it from that angle. But anyway, yeah, Janet and Peter, and yeah. What's this? Oh, list of witnesses. Yeah. Witness report. Because I know the first person to see something was a police officer, I think. The family obviously said things were going on. Yeah, there you go. Statement by policewoman. So these are all the real statements. I think she said she saw a chair move or something. 4 distinct raps, about 2 of their head, more tapping. This time. Checked the walls, went at the kitchen, checked the refrigerator. Chair which is standing next to the sofa, looked at the chair, noticed that was wobbling slightly from side to side, and then saw the chair slide across the room towards the kitchen wall, moved approximately 3 to 4 feet, and then came to rest. At no time did it appear to leave the floor. I checked the chair, but could find nothing to explain how it had moved. Yeah. So, I mean, there's a couple of really good ghost cases in the UK. The other one was the Battersea haunting as well. Which is a really interesting one. The interesting thing about the Battersea haunting is it went on for like years, I think. Like years and years and years it went over. But that one was, I think like the house caught on fire a few times. It was like quite dangerous things happened around it. But I'm of the opinion I think the Enfield haunting, I think most of, if not all of it, was faked by the girls. I think the kids, definitely.
We had two automatic cameras set up in the room, which were controlled by a button from outside the room, so that if we heard anything happening in the bedroom that was untoward, we could start the cameras going. The cameras used to flash at half-second intervals. And we got various episodes happening, but here's a particular interesting one. There's 3 episodes, 3 camera shots here at half-second intervals. The first camera shot shows a pillow here apparently going towards the camera, which is over here in front. And we know that that pillow and the one on the floor there were on the bed here by the side of Margaret. Now, so we've got a pillow actually going towards the camera now. The second photograph here shows the pillow has now doubled up here and is going in the other direction, like backwards. And the third photograph, at half-a-second interval, shows the pillow has now come forward again and is resting on top of the one that was on the floor. So in actual fact, we've got the pillow doing a zigzag motion. Well, physically, of course, that's not possible.
Well, yeah, there you go. Ghosts.
For some time, the mother and the children have been telling us that the bedclothes have been flying up the wall.
I mean, look on
and
the
the
left
curtains
there,
have been
right?
billowing
Even in
out
that
into the room.
resolution,
Well,
you can see that the
this
girl
at all.
is smiling.
And we had just had to take it at face value what they told us. But one night we got a sequence of 4 pictures on our automatic cameras which shows that actually happening. Here on the first one you see the bedclothes, the bed cover flying up the wall here, the curtains billowing out into the room, and it was mid-December. The window was shut tight, no drafts, and yet the curtain is billowing out into the room. The next picture shows the curtain has now, the bedclothes have now dropped down, but the curtain is moving because in the first picture that was concave, that was convex and is now concave, so we know the curtain is moving. Janet here has not moved her hand very much, it's more or less still on her stomach and her thigh. Here the next picture, the curtain has moved again because now it's more or less straight.
I think we get the famous photos.
And in the last picture, the 4th picture, the curtain here has twisted round and the bedclothes has twisted round as though to meet one another.
There it is, that's the famous one.
Well, you heard the story of the levitations in the case. Here we believe we actually have a levitation of the girl flying through the air.
No, I think you might have a girl
and
jumping
you have a
through the
look
air.
at Margaret over that side there. You see Margaret, very, very strange thing for girls to be doing at 3 o'clock in the morning. There's Janet flying through the air, and Margaret is there lying in bed with 1 foot up the wall and 1 hand up in the air. You must admit, a bit peculiar, even if she's just jumped. But let's look at the next picture. The next picture shows the similar thing happening, but this time the mother is in the room. Similar thing happening. See? I'll show you the first picture again so you perhaps see them both side by side. Right? Now when I questioned the mother on this, I said what was happening at the time? She said Janet was lying in bed and I was talking to Janet. I said then what happened? She says I don't know. She says suddenly Janet was flying through the air. I said now let's get this straight. You were talking to Janet and what did Janet do? Did she get out from under the covers, go to the top of the bed and jump? She said no. I was talking to Janet and suddenly Janet was flying through the air. I said, you sure? She said, absolutely positive. So how did Janet get into that position if she's lying down talking to her mother? This one is of a similar incident again. It wasn't done once, twice or 3 times, it kept on happening. And usually in the middle of the night.
Well, she's clearly jumping there.
Janet from time to time had very, very bad trance, very violent trance situations, so bad at one time that we thought that she might even kill herself. She used to rush over and smash her head on the wall. It was a dreadful thing to see. She used to swear and curse, and she was so strong in fact that at one time she picked up a social worker who was lying on the bed trying to restrain her and threw her straight off the bed. And this social worker, this woman, was an ex-policewoman, but she wasn't a very small woman, I can assure you. Incredible. Anyway, one night, when she was in a very, very bad state, we called a doctor who came, and he gave her a 10 milligram injection of Valium to quieten her down. 10 milligram would knock an adult out, let alone a child. She went out like a light. And then we all went downstairs, and the rest of the children, the other children had gone to sleep. We went downstairs. 40 minutes later, there was an enormous explosion. I thought the top of the house had come up. We rushed up the stairs into the bedroom. No Janet. She disappeared in the bed. Well, we looked at the bed, you know what's happening. And then we looked round, and we saw Janet on top of this chest of drawers. There's a radio there and a chest of drawers. She's on top of the radio. She'd been thrown apparently 14 feet across the room, and she was either in deep sleep or unconscious, because I examined her eyes and everything. She was either in very deep sleep or unconscious. That happened 3 times.
She's holding herself up by her arm.
Here is Janet in this violent trance state where I'm restraining her. All pretty violent stuff. And here's another one, similar.
It just seemed to me, the entire thing just seemed like deeply troubled kids.
Here's just a small one taken
Those
with
people
my
being
camera.
around just
Plenty of
reinforced
these.
it.
This one's got iron thread, which was found on the back of the bathroom door. Whether Fred did it, or whether the children did it, it's anybody's guess. But anyway, that was found on the back of the door. And here's another rather amateurish photograph of some of the furniture turning over.
Well, there you go. Thanks, Morris. Oops. The voice. Oh, we'll have to have a little bit of that because they've got recordings of that. So.
I suppose that one of the most extraordinary things about the whole case was the voice. Now, this voice was quite something. And how it started was this. On December the 10th, 1977 we're talking about,
it's admittedly quite
I was
creepy,
sitting in the room, in the
it.
front room there, downstairs, with the mother
Actually, let us listen
and
to
the
that.
children, and we were just talking, and suddenly there was whistling and going on. And I thought, that's funny, it's very sophisticated whistling. The children can't whistle like that. It sounds like the whistling that Mr. Nottingham does. He whistles quite a bit next door, but he's not there, he's at work. I thought, crazy. Suddenly a dog barked in the room. Fine, a dog barked in the room, but there was no dog there. I thought, well, you know, this is even crazier still. And I began to think, you know, okay, it can whistle, it can bark, and things began to turn around in my head. And it went on quite a bit. Then, lunchtime, about lunchtime, Guy Playfair came along, and I said to Guy, this morning I heard a dog barking and whistling in the room, and there was no dog there. And I said, it was a dog barking. No, he took everything in his stride, he always did.
I think there's recordings of
And we
that dog
decided
barking
then,
noise as well.
if it could bark and it could whistle, it may be able to talk. And I said to Guy, well, I'll tell you what, if it happens this evening, I'm going to take the children into the bedroom by themselves and see whether it can talk. Now, this was the day that 9 other investigators, most of them scientists, were in the house. So we had quite a lot of people who heard the first noise that was made. About 6 o'clock in the evening, and everybody was there, got the barking and whistling again. Round about 9 o'clock, if I remember rightly, I said to Mrs. Hodson, can I take the children upstairs? I want to do an experiment. She said, okay. I mean, she's used to it by now. She's used to everything. So I took the children upstairs and they got into bed. And in the next bedroom, in the small box room, Guy Playfair was there with his headphones on, and we put a microphone in the room I was in with the children, so he could hear all what was going on. And the barking and whistling was going on. Then I suddenly said, if you can bark and you can whistle, you can talk. Say my name. For quite a while nothing happened. Then suddenly it said, Morris. I thought, good. Good, some results. And then I challenged it again. I said, no, that's not my name, because I didn't hear it properly, you see. It's not Morris, something like that. So I said, no, say it again. This time it said, Morris, quite clearly. Then I challenged it to say Dr. Belloff. Dr. Belloff, one of my colleagues, was there that night. He's a very famous parapsychologist. And it said Dr. Belloff. So I knew that we had a voice. Now, what was this voice? How did it work?
Well, it claimed to be a man who died in the house.
When it started to speak, I thought we had a discarnate voice, what we call discarnate voice, a voice coming from nowhere, out of the air. Then I began to realise, when I watched the children more carefully, and watched Janet particularly more carefully, it seemed to be coming from her direction. Her lips weren't moving. Her mouth wasn't moving. Her lips, a slight tremble on her lips, but that's all. But I noticed when the voice spoke, her chest went up and down. So I watched her very carefully. And then, after a while, I challenged her and I said, Janet, that voice is coming from you. She said, oh no, it's not. I said, yes, it's coming from you, Janet. She says, not. I said, if it's not coming from you, where is it coming from? She says, coming from behind me. I said, you sure? She said, absolutely certain. That voice is not coming from me, it's coming from behind me. So we did a test later on, sometime later. We did just a simple test, not terribly scientific, but a simple test. We put a microphone in front of her throat, one on the back of her neck. And we found that the one on the back of her neck was louder than the one on her throat. Shouldn't be so.
Dun dun dun. Oh, we didn't get any recordings of it. You can find a lot of it online though. Oh, is it on this? Oh, here we go. Yeah, here we are. This will be the recordings then. So yeah, Bill, that was what he was. He claimed he died in a chair downstairs. Let's have a listen.
Let me hear you say my name. Come on, let me hear you say my name. That's not my name. Come on, my name's Morris. Let me hear you say it. Morris. Say Dr. Belloc. Come on, let me hear you say that. Come on, let's hear you say Dr. Belloc. Could you close that door down? Say Dr. Belloc. What is it? Just hold that one on. Good work. Now, if you squeak the bed, I can't hear you talking. Now, say Dr. Belloc. Come on. Come on, say it for me, Dr. Belloc. Dr. Belloc.
There we go.
Right, that's good.
There he is.
Shut up, that door. I'm 72 years old. I come from Jewel graveyard. And I have right near the church where Rita lives. And all my friends come from there as well. And we all make a game and go to the pub. And then we
So look at this one anyway. It says where he died.
I want you to tell me whether you remember what happened to you when you died. Just before you died and just after you died.
Days before I died, my day, I went blind. Then I had an hemorrhage and I fell asleep and I died in a chair in the corner downstairs.
Bill, if you're there, would you answer me the following question?
Anyway, less of that. But yeah, so it's even if you don't think that's real, it's kind of creepy. That voice was coming from a little girl anyway. Creep stuff. Oh, Skeptics, you got something to say about Enfield? Let's see. Lecture. Oh no, I don't think so. I think she's. Oh no, this is just the case files of all of the people again, isn't it? What's this? Unexplained events have played during the past few months. What? Eh? Right. So. Oh, is that? Oh. What happened there? I don't know. I'll go back on that. Right. Is that? I'm puzzled by the relevance of that. Is this just going to keep playing? Is this a video?
My name is Vicky Clark. I moved in October, and about 3 weeks after that, the events started to happen.
Yeah. Right. Let's continue on adventures because we are quickly getting to the end of our time together. I really want to go and see what's in the other rooms, though. What's over on that? What's that? Oh, that's a Newton's cradle. Well, that's irritating. So I can see a Newton's cradle, but I can't click on it. That's quite irritating. Anyway, let's look on this table over here. Who are these peeps?
When she was about 13.
Just.
As I looked up, on the top right-hand side window there was what I thought was a face. You know, somebody looking out. And those.
So I take it all of the photographs are all people who've said to have experienced something. Let's head straight ahead. Oh, excuse me. Little burp there. Ooh, the spooky study. Steps. A skull. Does that do anything? Hello, Christopher.
Bettiscombe Manor is quiet these days, but it was not always so. The villagers in this lonely nook of the Dorset countryside still recall tales of a terrifying scream that was said to originate from a skull kept in the manor. In 1685, Azariah Pinney, the Lord of Bettiscombe Manor, was banished to the West Indies for his allegiance to the Duke of Monmouth. A man of acute business sense, Pinney made good his exile and prospered in the God-forsaken colony, accruing a vast fortune which was turned over to his heirs on his death. 2 generations were to pass before any of Azariah's kin dared set foot on English soil. It was his grandson, John Frederick, who returned to England in 1734 to reclaim the family seat in Dorset, bearing considerable riches and a Negro servant from
Do you
the
know,
Isles.
I think I'd pay good money for
However,
just audiobooks
shortly after their
of
arrival
Chris
in the country,
reading ghost
Frederick's
stories.
manservant, Isaac, was stricken with a malady that racked his body for days.
Doug
and
Bradley
only eased
used to do a series
when
where
the
he would read
wretched fellow
famous
approached death. It was
short
on his
ghost
deathbed
horror
that
stories.
old Isaac, who had served the
that was
family
awesome
well,
enough, but
pleaded with his master that he
I'd
must be
love to
taken
Chris-
back
I
to
would
his
have loved to have
homeland for
Christopher Lee
burial. If
read
not,
stuff like this.
a terrible curse would befall the manor and all who lived therein.
Dun-dun-dun.
A phlegmatic man, John Frederick was not given to superstition, and duly ignored his slave's dying wish, discreetly burying his body.
I've
in
got to
the
say that
local
I think
churchyard.
they've done a
It
good
was
job with
then
the CD-ROM
that the howling
of
came.
packing it with stuff.
At first, many thought it a prank played by schoolchildren, defying one another to remain in the churchyard after dark. But when one of the youngsters returned home, ashen-faced and shaking with fear after hearing a strange groan emerge from one of the graves, the games stopped, and few
Spooky
would
Christmas
enter the
fun.
graveyard again. And the wailing continued, louder than ever, a wild, keening sound that chilled the soul and which could be heard for miles around. The villagers knew the source of the shrieking. But Frederick would not heed their desperate pleas, and refused to disinter the remains of his servant, and so the howling was joined by tremors and thunderclaps that shook the very foundations of Bettiscombe Manor.
A lot of sort
It
of
seems as if
folklore and
Isaac's
myth
corpse had risen
around
from his defiled
screaming
grave
skulls,
and was
and
hammering
I know one
angrily
case
at
was
the
one
doors
found
and
in
shutters
the
of his
wall of a
former
house.
household.
It might still be there. This might be the actual tale.
If
actually,
Isaac couldn't
yeah.
rest in peace, neither would his master. The din was appalling, but it had its desired effect, almost. Finally, 2 sleepless months after Isaac's burial, John Frederick wearily succumbed to the inevitable and exhumed the body of his servant. In such haste was the deed done that Isaac's rotting head was rudely detached from his body.
Tasty.
Yet rather than return Isaac's complete remains to the West Indies, Frederick shipped his body back for burial, but kept the skull as a ghoulish memento of his recent travails. The skull was deposited in the loft, and the Lord of Bettiscombe Manor retired for an early night, comforted by the belief that he had
That's a
done
cool-
all in his
cool
power
looking
to
skull.
appease Isaac's vengeful spirit, and a blissful silence descended upon the village once more.
Not for long, though.
And so it stayed, until John Frederick's own death a decade later. However, the new occupant of the manor, William Thornton, had not been appraised of the skull's presence, and upon seeing its ghastly village, had it thrown into a pond behind the house. He instantly
As you
learned
do.
the error of his hasty actions, as an ear-splitting scream rent the air and drove him to the sanctuary of his manor. Quick were his neighbours to inform
Has that
him of the
stopped
nature
sounding
of the cry, and the penalty for ignoring old Isaac's wishes. But Thornton was a proud man, and steadfastly rejected any attempts to retrieve the skull and let it defile his house again. No matter how much Isaac's ghost bellowed into the night sky or raged against the manor with his phantom fists, Thornton would not yield, nor would he accept the accusation that Isaac's clamorous protestations were responsible for an unaccountable crop
pull the audio. It depends what format it's in. Pull the audio from the CD-ROM and
in the region.
post just the audio online somewhere. Be kind of cool, just for people to listen
to. On a
to.
bitterly cold January morning, the Lord of Bettiscombe Manor was found in a state of collapse by the edge of the pond, dressed only in a sodden nightshirt. Driven mad with fatigue, his spirit had finally broken, and he had stayed up the long night, raking the pond for the accursed skull, to no avail. He spent the rest of his short, tormented life on a sickbed in the wing furthest from the pond, but he could not shut out the damnable screeching. Within a year of taking possession of Bettiscombe Manor, William Thornton, a man of rugged health and fierce temperament, was dead, having faded to a shambling shadow of his former self. After his funeral, held many miles from Isaac's former resting place, a handful of villagers recovered the screaming skull from the pond, stole into Bettiscombe Manor under cover of dark.
There's a film called The Screaming
Restored
it's
the
dreadful.
dread relic to the loft.
Really dreadful.
And there it languished, content and quiet, for well over 100 years, as each of the manor's subsequent proprietors wisely paid greater heed to the legend of the screaming skull than their ill-fated predecessors. Most would never visit the loft, lest they encounter Isaac's spectre in a less charitable mood. But when Bettiscombe Manor passed into the hands of Charles Pomeroy in the early part of this century, events took a bizarre turn. The new owner, a modern gentleman of liberal disposition, promptly removed the skull, now encrusted in dust and a curiously sticky residue, had it polished, and reinstated the grisly heirloom to a more prominent position in the household. It was a well-meaning gesture and an effort on Pomeroy's part to return some measure of dignity to the memory of a former resident of the manor. He could not have imagined what followed. On the eve of the Great War, a torrent of blood issued from the cracks in Isaac's newly veneered skull, staining the mantelpiece on which it stood, and the blood would not cease. So shocked were visitors to the manor that Pomeroy was forced to return the weeping artifact to the loft.
That's really like the loft.
It remained, reportedly oozing blood, when the outbreak of war was imminent. Peace now reigns at Bettiscombe Manor, but should anyone ever be tempted to remove the skull from its adopted home, old Isaac's spirit will scream the place down.
Well, there you go. Let's have a look here. Bettiscombe Manor, eh? Bettiscombe Manor. Let's see where that tale comes from. The House of the Screaming Skull, due to the legend. There we go. There we do go. Skull legend. In 1963, a professor of human and comparative anatomy at the Royal College of Surgeons stated that the skull was not that of a black man, but that of a European female aged between 25 and 30. Oops. So I wonder whose head it was then. Yeah, there you go. So the skull's still there, apparently. Cool. If a little grim. Anyway, we're coming towards the end of our evening of spookiness, so let's... oh, come on, there must be a hidden book. There isn't. Let's have a quick look around here, and then we will... That's going to be something... hidden the credits in it, nice. Right. Let's have a little move around here. There's another spooky tale from someone. Oh, dear me. Can we look on the desk? Is it an ashtray of some sort? Can we look on there? Oh, what was that? Floating book. Well, consider my pants browned. Right. Let's head up the stairs, No, that's not where I wanted to go. Is there a... I think I might have to go like that, then like that, then like that, and then like that. There we go. Now let me go up the stairs. Is there a door at the right? Jeez, you crazy, it's a big house. I mean, I know it's a manor and everything, but... What's this? Ah, it's a... What do you
If you want some advice to get ahead, there's more to the laboratory than meets the eye.
Is there? Thank you, Christopher Lee. If you want to get ahead, there's more to the laboratory than meets the eye. Okay. There's a zombie hand.
If you cross the North Downs in the county of Surrey, just east of Guildford, you will come to the tiny hamlet of Shear.
Oh, we're going to get a full story there, and I want to watch that in my own time, I think, because like I said, we are getting towards the end of the tonight's stream. Let's have a quick look. But like I said, I mean, that website I showed you, you can find all of, the files to get this yourself anywhere. There must be a spooky story about the bed. Must be. There's this weird axe on the wall. What's that? It's another folder with the skeptic lady. Can we go on the axe? Yeah, we can. What the heck?
If the clock is wound well but still stops, count it as a bad omen.
Okay. That's a badass clock. It's a bit metal, that, isn't it? Right, okay. So, where's the dart? There it is. Right. So we went that way, didn't we? He said something about a laboratory, and there is no laboratory. Unless it's hidden. I don't know. Unless I've missed a door somewhere. I don't think I have, though. Let's have another quick look upstairs before we exit the manor. So that was the... Yeah, I mean... Yeah, I think there is only 2 rooms upstairs. And he said something there about the laboratory. Ah, what's this? Oh no, it's just a fireplace. Let's look in the cupboard. There must be something spooky in the cupboard. Oh, there is. Alright. No, there isn't. Literally nothing in there. I get the impression that perhaps there was going to be more in this. I mean, this is the type of thing that we were... Ah! There's a room there that we were taught in multimedia tech when I was at uni. Making
the answer lies
programs.
in Easter.
What?
The answer lies in Easter.
Okay, so that's evidently a puzzle of some sort. Ah, Easter Island. Downstairs. Oh, you know what? It's been... We're at the end of the stream here, but I can't stop now. The answer lies in Easter Island. Let's have a look. A key! Wow, an item. An actual item. Let's go. Let's quickly head upstairs. I'm excited now. I feel like I'm making some progress. Literally right at the end. Okay, so now we can get in. Excellent. Oh, brilliant. A creepy bedroom. Well, that's not terrifying. Oh. What? I have no idea what that means. I feel I would have to explore this in great detail on my own. Well, okay. Well, let's head. think there's only fitting, really. I'm guessing there's going to be some sort of payoff at the end of this entire thing. But I'm guessing it's only fitting that we end the evening by fleeing from the manor in terror.
Are you sure you want to leave the house now?
I think I do. I think I do, Christopher. I've had enough. And that's it. It just shuts the full thing down. I do encourage people, though, to check out some of those old CD-ROMs. I've got a few more that I'm going to do at some point, dealing with other odd things. But, yeah, they're out there, they exist, and they're weird. So, yeah, thank you very much, you beautiful people, for joining me. Yeah, next year, as in the coming year, we are going to have our full-length episodes coming out. I can guarantee it. Obviously, everything's been crazier than anyone could anticipate, but we'll be having some more bite-sized episodes and other live streams going on. I promise more frequently. It's been mental lately, been crackers with work and other such things. Life gets in the way, as it were. But the full-length episodes are coming, we promise. So yeah, thank you very much for checking it out, and we might see you some other time. Thank you. Merry Christmas.